Hey there, fellow sports gamblers. It's Steel Picks for you with the 5 best NBA playoff prize picks and underdog free picks for today, May 15th. Before we get into today's picks, let's see what happened to us yesterday on the baseball diamond. Sterling Marte was 1 for 3 to go over the .5 hits we said he'd go over. Bobby Witt Jr. was 1 for 3 with a walk to go over the 1.5 bases we said he'd go over. Jake Bauers was out of the lineup and did not go over the half a base we said he'd go over. Ryan Jeffers was 0 for 2 to go under the 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs we said he'd go over. And Elly De La Cruz was 2 for 4, scoring 2 runs to go over the 1.5 bases we said he'd go over. 3 out of 5 is not terrible, but let's see if we can't put together an immaculate ticket for today with the NBA Hoopers. First up, we have Jaden McDaniels under 1.5 first half points against the San Antonio Spurs at home. Fellow sports gamblers, this is game 6, and we have a pretty good comprehensive body of work to see what certain players are capable of doing and what they've done. Not only what their capabilities are, but what the numbers, the stats, and the analytics bear out. So as we can see, in 5 games, Jaden McDaniels has not gone over 8.5 first half points. 6-6. Very close with 8 in game 3, 6. Kind of close in game 5 with 7. But no reason to think that with Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs coming to Minnesota, not wanting to have to go back home and play a game 7, that they are going to definitely try to take care of business. Jaden McDaniels has been a little bit, I don't want to say suspect, but he's been very inconsistent with regards to what he's been able to do. As we can see with regards to minutes, he's certainly played enough minutes. But as you can see in the last 3 games, diminishing. 20.7, 20.2, and 17.7. He's been in a little bit of foul trouble, and with regards having a little bit of trouble kind of controlling his temper and his ego. So I certainly think that Jaden McDaniels is going to go under the 8.5 first half points, even though they are at home. I still think that's going to be the case. As you can see, Prizepicks likes that as well at -119. Next up, we have Jared Allen under 5 defensive rebounds against the Cleveland Cavaliers at home for game 6. As you can see in the playoffs, he's only been able to do that 2 times. And in the last 5 games against the Detroit Pistons, has not done that 1 time. As a matter of fact, half of that in game 1, a little bit under half, or a little bit over half of that in games 3 and 4. And this game, of course, it's going to be at home, but at the same time, Jared Allen has been very inconsistent with his flashes of brilliance as well. Let's go to the minutes as we're seeing. He's been playing an increased amount of minutes. They've been giving him a lot more security, a lot more confidence and trust in what he's able to do. I like the fact that he played 36.5 minutes in game 5. Of course, that was an overtime game. I am just saying with regards to our purposes, not really feeling it too much. As you can see, it was the only overtime game, was the only game that he had over the 5 offensive rebounds. And he only had 4 defensive rebounds. We need him to be under the 5. Certainly think that's a possibility because he's been under almost every game in the playoffs and every game in the Detroit series. So no reason to think that Jared Allen will not go under 5 defensive rebounds. As you can see, Prizepicks likes this as well at -119. Next up, we have Cavis LeVert under 11.5 points, rebounds, and assists from that same game, game 6, Pistons Cavaliers. I certainly don't expect him to do that. As you can see, he's only been able to do that 1 time in the playoffs. This game 4 that we're looking at was quite the anomaly. The last game at home before they went back to Detroit. Wow, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Absolutely do not expect for him to replicate that type of productivity going into a game 6. I don't want to call it a must-win game, but if they're down 3-2 going back to Detroit, the odds aren't good. And as we can see in most of these games, I'm not going to go, actually, you know what, fellow sports gamblers, I'm not going to go all the way back to the Orlando series. Let's just look at this series against their opponent, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And what we see is 2 points, 8 points, 6 points. We're not going to count this game as the anomaly, of course. 7 points, but only 1 rebound, 1 assist. 6 points, 2 rebounds, no assists. 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Very close hovering. And this other game, just the 2 rebounds, no points at all. So no reason to think that Cavis LeVert is all of a sudden going to become a bona fide superstar and do some things that he's not really capable of doing statistically. Haven't really seen that all playoffs, and I haven't really seen that for his career, to be perfectly honest with you. So sorry for all the Cavis LeVert fans. Don't mean to be cruel and unusual with regards to how I feel about him, but hey, we have an agenda at heart, and just tell him the truth. With regards to minutes, you can see he's played not that many minutes in the Cleveland series. In the Cleveland series. The high water mark being 31.4 in that game 4, where he was on the road but still trying to, make things happen. And then in game 5, he went all the way back down to 23.8. So not necessarily expecting a whole lot from him with regards to that. The high water mark being that on the road game 4, where he was masterful, beautiful, and for 16 from the field. But as you can see, he came right back down to earth in game 5 at home, 2 for 7. Nothing to write home about. With regards to free throw attempts, he did have quite a bit more free throw attempts in game 5 at home. But as you can see, I won't go all the way back to Orlando. It's not fair for you guys. But it's not really been much a free throw shooter, to be perfectly honest with you. 2 for 2 in game 3 and 1 for 1 in game 4. Not a lot of free throw attempts, so don't really have to worry about a whole lot of points being scored with no time going off the clock. So I definitely feel confident with regards to Cavis LeVert being under 11.5 points, rebounds, and assists. As you can see, Prizepicks likes this as well. And as a friendly reminder, when you sign up with BETR using my promo code WINCASH, you'll receive 2 anytime tokens worth up to $100 each. And when you sign up with Novig using my STEELEWINS promo code and spend $5, you'll get a $50 bonus. Just a little bit of extra cash to see what you can do with some of these prop player picks. Try to make some money and make some things happen. Again, good luck to everyone. Certainly hope that you take advantage of the things that we're doing here on the show, on the channel, and make some extra cash for yourself. Next up, we have Victor Wembanyama under 17.5 field goal attempts against the Minnesota Timberwolves on the road. We're going to take a look at the playoffs in general, but let's just kind of scale down the potential that we think that he has, and we're going to focus on the Minnesota Timberwolves series. Not the entire playoffs, just the Minnesota Timberwolves series. And as we can see, he's only being able to do this one time. That was 18 field goal attempts in game 3. It was a great game. They did win that game. Obviously, the 5 attempts in game 4, that's something that we should hang our hat on, given the fact that he was ejected for a flagrant 2 elbow to the face of Naz Reid. But even in game 5, redemption song, if you will, only 16 field goal attempts. So no reason to think that with the game going back to Minnesota, I'm not going to say that there's a conspiracy theory, but I do think that the National Basketball Association, Adam Silver being the commissioner and all, would like to see a Game 7 in San Antonio. And I'm not going to say that they're going to have an agenda and skew how they're calling the game, but I do think it's going to be a lot less physical than Victor Wembanyama would be looking forward to, and that quite a few of the fouls are going to be called in the other direction. But as far as field goal attempts are concerned, as you can see, not really that many field goal attempts over the 17.5 that we're looking at. He's averaging 14.2. And with regards to minutes played, I don't think that's much of a factor, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he'll play as many minutes as the game warrants. To blow out one way or the other, they will probably sit him, which case that's completely, totally unpredictable. But I don't think that he's going to have a whole lot of field goal attempts. And I think that he's going to try to understand the gravity of the situation, trying to end this here, get rest, so that the Oklahoma City Thunder don't have a bunch of extra rest. So they're going to try and take care of business in Minnesota. And I think that starts with getting his teammates involved, facilitating on the offensive end, passing the ball, sharing the ball with others, assists, crashing boards, kicking out to other players. So with regards to the over, the 17.5 field goal attempts, I don't think so. I think he's going to go under the 17.5. As you can see, Underdog likes that as well at the minus 120. Last but not least, the greatest American hero, Duncan Robinson, over 12.5 points and assists. Now, what we saw in the last game is that Tobias Harris struggled from the field and was not able to give the Detroit Pistons at home, no less, that number 2 scorer that they needed, not in the volume that they needed in order to get above the Cleveland Cavaliers. The game went to overtime. They ultimately ended up losing that game. I'm not going to blame Duncan Robinson, but goodness gracious, he had all of 4 points and 1 assist in that game. As you can see in all the other games that he's played against the Cleveland Cavaliers, he has been over the points and assists on points alone with 19, 17, and 15. You can see a little bit of a regression, but at the same time, you can see this is money time. This is game 6. It's on the road. If they're going to take this series back to Detroit to try to see if they can win a game 7, it will be in large part because of Duncan Robinson's contribution. It's also because Tobias Harris has chosen to regress a little bit. That happens. Not going to blame Tobias Harris for that. I thought he was playing a little bit over his skis, but at every benchmark, he was able to hit the mark and go over that. Last game, not showing so much. Again, that 6 for 17. Brutal for us, sports gamblers, fans of the channel. As you know, I went very heavily on Tobias Harris. Didn't come through it for us. Not trying to hold him, not trying to make a grudge thing about it, but certainly think that there's an opportunity for Duncan Robinson, given the lack of ability that Tobias Harris showed, to step up and do some things. I don't think that 12.5 points and assists is unrealistic expectation. As we can see, he's been playing plenty of minutes. Last game, not so much. And the fact that it was a overtime game, a little bit concerning. But when he is in there, he's pretty accurate. As you can see, for every game that he's played, he's been over 50%, 50% or above shooting. He's been taking quite a few threes. As you can see, 5 in game 3 there, 7 there in game 4, and then coming back down to 2 in game 5. Getting to the free throw line, would like to see a little bit more of that, but that's not really his game. We understand that his game is predicated upon spacing, getting around. When Cade Cunningham gets double teamed or Tobias Harris gets into trouble, they kick it out to Duncan Robinson, and that's when he kind of makes things happen. So the free throw line, not necessarily where he makes his hay, but when he's there, 50% would like to see it a little bit higher. But this is the number that we really want to see go up to what we saw in game 3, to around 9 attempts or so. And then we don't really have much to worry about. But at the same time, I do think that he's going to be able to dish out a few assists, as you can see, 2, 3, 4, progressively going up until this whatever happened in game 5. There is a chance for him to redeem himself, and I think that he will. As you can see, Prizepicks likes it as well, as they have him at the minus 119. So to recap, we have Jaden McDaniels under 8.5 first half points. Jared Allen under 5 defensive rebounds. Cavis LeVert under 11.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Victor Wembanyama under 17.5 field goal attempts. And Duncan Robinson over 12.5 points and assists. And in addition, my 3-leg parlay is Jared Allen under 5 defensive rebounds. Cavis LeVert under 11.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And Victor Wembanyama under 17.5 field goal attempts. That's my 5 picks for the day. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the Steel Picks for You channel. And good luck, everyone.